Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together with all of you. This is our sacred time of dropping deep into the core, the truth of who we are. And we do it through questions, some that come from our family joining us online, most that come from people here. But we use these questions as a way of going deeper into all of ourselves. So we start with one that's come in from the online family, and then we open it up to any questions that any of you here have. I am very depressed. How can I get out of it? This is asked by Faiza Khan on Instagram. So depression, sadly, is something that is afflicting more and more people around the world. As we achieve so much and accomplish so much and get so far on so many levels, tragically, we're seeing rates of depression, rates of anxiety also increase rather than decrease. There's a lot of reasons that can create the depression, and to know how to come out of it, you have to know what is yours being caused by. For most people, it's a mixture of several factors. One being brain chemistry. We used to think that it literally was caused by an imbalance in serotonin. And this was where all of the antidepressant medicines, the SSRIs came into fashion, was, oh, you're depressed, you don't have enough serotonin. Let's give you medicine that keeps more serotonin in your synapse, and your depression will go away. They do work for some people for some periods of time. They're wonderful, if that is the main reason that this is going on. But for most of us, even if there is an imbalance in the serotonin in our brains, it didn't come from the sky. It's not like something from the sky dropped in through our crown chakra or through our ears and somehow messed up the serotonin in our brains. It tends to happen based on things that happen in our lives. Trauma in childhood kicks your serotonin out of whack. But choices and decisions that we make in adulthood as well. Lack of community, lack of connection. Lack of meaning. So they go together. Depression feels like a lack of meaning. And when in my life I'm not engaging in things that are meaningful, I'm also contributing to an imbalance in my brain. The neurotransmitters in our brain are they're not preset. So it's not like, your height or your skin color or your ability to sing well or things that we come into this world with that are kind of genetic. Some of us may certainly have genetic predispositions one way or the other way, but our actions, our thoughts, it's a feedback loop. certain thoughts actually change the brain chemistry, certain actions change the brain chemistry, and the brain chemistry then changes thoughts. So does your brain chemistry impact how you feel? Absolutely 200%. And does what you do and what you think impact your brain chemistry? Absolutely 200%. So the piece that a lot of us have left out of the puzzle is the piece that we actually have control over. We've understood, it's an imbalance in my brain chemistry. And we think about it very much like a type 1 diabetes situation, where you have young kids basically born with imbalances in insulin level. But it's actually much more like a type 2 diabetes situation, where it has everything to do with our eating habits, our exercise habits, our lifestyle habits. So how we live, how we think, is impacting the brain chemistry that then is impacting how we feel. So on one level, one of the most powerful ways of coming out of depression is actually to change how you act. And there's certain actions that we know have been proven to be really, really impactful and powerful in coming out of depression. Exercise is one of them. Helping others is one of them. Volunteer work. It has to be something hands-on. But whatever it is, it could be planting trees, it could be working in a school, it could be painting a battered women's shelter, it could be serving food in a soup kitchen, it could be being a volunteer teacher, it could be making soup for your elderly neighbor. But we know that service is one of the most powerful ways of coming out of depression. Exercise, I said, nature. There is a reason that so many healthy, traditional ways of living in traditional indigenous peoples have practices of being in nature. It changes us. We talk these days all the time about earthing and grounding, and if you go online, you can spend heaps of money buying all kinds of gadgets that will ground you or earth you, and mats you can step on, and things you can wear, and all kinds of accessories. Or you can just walk outside barefoot, literally. Find yourself a patch of dirt, any dirt. Sand, grass, immediate earthing, grounding. If you can get your hands in it, even better. If you can do it in morning sunlight, even better. And again, we know scientifically, empirically, that these things actually change the chemistry in our brains, the chemistry in our bodies. Not only does it make us physically healthier, but it actually changes our brain. It changes how we feel. So volunteer work, exercise, nature. And then there's other aspects, also around what would seem like physical life, but it has to do with sleep, it has to do with food. Junk food actually contributes in huge part to depression and anxiety. Eating things that are heavily processed, too much sugar, too much salt, too many chemicals, not enough living prana. We do pranayama because we understand the importance of prana, life force. But we don't only take in prana through our nose when we're doing pranayama, We actually also take it in by the water we drink, by the food that we eat. Food has prana in it. And if what you're eating is food that is filled with chemicals, pesticides, preservatives, sugar, things that don't even look like food, things that your grandmother would say, like, what is that? There's no prana in it. So there may be calories, there may be protein, there may be carbs, there may be the things that we count. But we forget to look at the prana actually in what we're taking. And so for a lot of us, when we feel this sense of depression, this sense of fatigue, chronic fatigue, we're seeing epidemic proportions of it. Well, it's an absence of prana, an absence of ojas, an absence of the energy within the body to run the body. And a lot of it has to do with the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the water we drink. Because that's where we're getting in our prana. So if you live somewhere that is hugely polluted, and you can get out for a little while, fresh air, clean food, clean water, it sounds overly simplistic. But when you start to realize the intersection between mind and body, you realize that they're not actually separate. That the very chemicals that are running our brain are in large part being created by, certainly influenced by, the bloodstream that is running through the physical body, which is made up in large part by the water you drink, the food you eat, the air you breathe, the emotions you're having. Lastly, community and connection. One of the most important pieces of research in my mind these days around mental health has to do with it arising out of a lack of meaningful connections. We are spending so much time on social media, and we are mistaking likes or friends for actual friends and for actually people we like. And so, as I heard someone recently say, I've got thousands and thousands of friends and no one to feed my cat when I go on vacation. No one to bring me soup when I'm sick. And this is a tragic paradox of our current day. Super popular. I mean, there's stories all the time about these influencers who commit suicide. And you see people respond with like, my God, but she had 1 million followers. Like, what did she have to be depressed about? As though somehow 1 million followers could fill the role of 1 or 2 close friends. It can't. And so this is where it is so critical if we want to prevent and treat our internal depression. We have to make real connections. Real connections to real people. And it takes effort. It's so easy. You're out for a cup of coffee. It's so easy to sit down alone, pull out your phone while you drink your coffee, catch up on some work. I mean, everybody else at the coffee shop is doing it. Why not you? And it's so much harder to sit down at a table with someone. Say, hey, do you mind if I join you? But this is the risk. This is the risk to take to start rebuilding. This is the stuff that theoretically should come naturally to us. You know, I'm 54, and anybody in this room over the age of certainly 40, but probably 35 is, well, maybe even younger, maybe 30. Somewhere between 30 and 35, anybody over that age can remember like a pre-mobile phone age. Anybody over 25 can remember pre-social media time. There were times when you actually stood in elevators and smiled at people. When you stood in line at the grocery store and actually, played with the baby in the carriage of somebody else behind you or in front of you, or chatted over what were in your carts. It wasn't very long ago. We can remember times where, you'd go out for coffee and you'd sit down next to someone and, oh my God, you would talk to them. And you may never see them again, and it wasn't that you ended up getting married or becoming best friends. And maybe after 5 minutes, you each pulled out a book or a magazine or something. But there was a moment of a connection. And we're skipping those these days. And so we're being pulled out of our own humanity. So it's depressing. The last piece to mention is what a beautiful writer and journalist named Johann Hari calls junk values. He's written a beautiful book on depression, and in it he was talking about the role of not only junk food, but the role of junk values. How one of the other things that's making us so depressed these days is we don't actually value something that's important. And deep in our soul, in our spirit, we know that what we are valuing is ludicrous and idiotic and stupid and silly. And so again, we are disconnecting from self. When we are focused on just the appearance of the physical body, the size, the shape, the color, the dimensions, the clothes it's wearing, the tint of its skin, its power, its popularity, the money in its bank account, we know those are junk values inside of us. When our friends are people with whom all we do, go out, get drunk, dance, pick up guys, pick up girls, we know deep within us that these values are junk. When we give all of our day, every day, to businesses and companies whose only agenda is more and more money, even if we are also getting more and more money from it, deep within us we know I'm giving the hours of my life to junk. We know that. And so another critical piece around coming out of depression is really asking yourself, what are you dedicating your days to? What are you doing with the hours of your day? And it doesn't mean that we don't punch a time clock. A lot of us have to punch a time clock or there's no food on the table. But where are you punching your time clock? Whose values, whose priorities are you giving your time, your energy? And why have you chosen that one? What's your value that brought you there? So really focus on all of these aspects. And look, if you need to be on antidepressant medicine for a period of time, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. But you want to be able to use them to get you to do things like yoga, meditation, introspection, exercise, walks in nature, going to therapy. That's what the medicine is for, is to get you out of bed and give you enough of an oomph that you actually can do the things that will heal you in the long run. So So if you need to take them temporarily, by all means do them. It's better than being stuck in bed all day getting nowhere. But take them with the awareness that I am using them temporarily to activate myself so that I can actually engage in long-term solutions. Yeah, good question. We're having this depression epidemic these days. Other questions that anyone here has? Yes, of course, please. Come, there's a microphone right here.
Thank you, madam. Firstly, I'm speechless, honestly, of late. I was just looking forward to, connect or maybe attract some soul whom I can reach out to for my questions. And I'm lucky that I could hear you out at the Ganga Aarti. I'm so blessed. Thank you. So I could get this opportunity to get a question here. So I am turning 39 in the next 2 days. However, for last 3-4 years now, I've been seeing some imbalances over my health. I didn't know what exactly. So for last, I kind of consider myself law of attraction or spirituality. I have got into this path very early in my age. I'm blessed to walk through this path and trying myself to see how I can try and balance this. But for the last 3-4 years, I started having some of the other health issues. Could that be migraine? Could that be some gut-related issues? Something or the other kept happening for last 2-3 years. Last year, I realized, or someone told me that you're entering into early perimenopause. I want to conceive. Got married and then wanted to focus on my career and kind of delayed on my, started gaining in weight, etc., etc. So now this realization that I'm entering into perimenopause and the havoc that has put me into the loop, that something or the other, every second day I'm getting some or the other new symptom on my body, and that's really getting me into a very super health anxiety, madam. So I don't know how, I firstly, being a law of attraction believer, I'm also scared that I should not attract any health issues, any severe health disease. So one thing I'm looking at is to eradicate any need within, if at all there is, to let go of this need. That's one. And second is how can I how can I overcome this health anxiety and believe that I can naturally conceive. So that's my focus now.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of issues going on. One is the physical, biological, chemical aspect of the perimenopause. The other is the emotional aspect of it all. The acceptance in life of a package deal is one of the most important lessons that we have. Things that we cannot change. Like, oh, my body is now in menopause or beginning it. There's not a lot that they can do for it. It's certainly worth, you're very young, it's certainly worth getting yourself checked out both by standard allopathy and also by Ayurveda in that. But what I've seen is there's not a lot that they can do, unless it's a medical reason causing it. However, there's a lot that can be done on the emotional side of it. Meditation, deep breathing, general levels of acceptance in terms of, oh, this is happening to me. There's also a lot of herbal types of remedies that are available. Herbal remedies, Ayurvedic remedies. There's an Ayurvedic herb called Shatavari which if I were you, I would start taking immediately. Any woman over the age of 30 or younger, if they've got any kind of hormonal issues, it's a fantastic herb, Shatavari. It helps rebalance the system. Making sure that you are taking care of yourself. There's also both synthetic and natural bioidentical estrogen replacement that while it's not going to give you your period back, it's not going to change not being able to conceive into being able to conceive, what it will do is it will balance all of the other side effects or the other parts of the package deal of menopause. It'll balance the mood swings, it'll balance the weight gain, it'll balance the migraines, it'll balance all of that. So I definitely would find out about that because it can be very, very helpful. It can be life-changing, like truly life-changing. The other piece to think about on just a very practical level, 39 is young in terms of life. For whatever reason, your body is now going through perimenopause. But that doesn't mean that you're not gonna get married. It doesn't mean that you're not going to want to have children. I know a lot of women who have given birth in their mid-40s. Something you might want to consider is freezing your eggs. I know people who have done that. A close friend of mine actually is just giving birth a month from now from eggs that she had frozen. So it's a way that women who have made decisions like you have, which is first career, travel, adventure, this, that, I mean, all the things before I want to actually start having kids. By God's grace, the technology has kind of kept up with that. And so there are ways, while you still are menstruating, to get the eggs frozen so that whenever you decide that you want to do it, and obviously there's no compulsion, but at least it keeps that door open for you so that you do have that option later on. That was where I began, was with meditation, with pranayama. Health anxiety is like any anxiety. The only way to deal with it is first in your breath. My breathing exercises and meditative practice are the only things that got me through menopause. It's a very, very deep breath. It's a very slow breath. It's a very low breath. And it just re-anchors you in stillness, in calmness, in presence. And then make sure that you've got a very good meditative practice. A meditative practice that is anchored in being able to be aware. The mind jumps all over the place, but you bring it back. You bring it back. You are not the thoughts. You are the one aware of them. And you just bring it back. Because whatever we're anxious about, this practice just, it brings it back. It brings it back. Start it now if you don't already have it. Because as things brew and increase in you, which they very well might, it's part of the biochemical package deal of this amazingly beautiful female body we have, is we go through it. So if you don't already have a very strong meditative practice, bring it in. Vipassana is fantastic. It's fantastic. When the anxiety arises, if hot flashes arise, mood swings arise, just do your Vipassana, right? You don't move. You're not going to scratch the itch. You're not going to, oh my God. You're just going to allow it to happen. Sweat is dripping. Okay, here we are. The practice of Vipassana is perfect for it. Dive deeper into it. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, and then you. Of course.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and for making these connections understandable. I work at UNESCO, and at UNESCO, of course, we are convinced that the world needs to change for compassion,
Yes.
instead of the many rules that govern it. When I hear you, it feels that it comes to the individual to manage itself in terms of how he lives in the world. But the reality is that the structure of incentives of the markets, of our societies, are all towards junk values.
Yes.
And therefore, how can we not only look into our own balance, but try to instill this interest in some others to do it more systemic, because I think that we are losing the game in general.
Beautiful, beautiful question. Working with the UN, you have a really powerful opportunity, because the UN has a name, it has an impact, it has an influence, it has a power. And while obviously mandates come from the member states, nonetheless, the different offices within the UN have a lot of wonderful opportunity. We've worked with many, many of the different offices within the UN, and bringing in that power of faith. Typically in the world of the UN, where faith gets brought in, tends to be around behavior change campaigns, issues of disaster relief, disaster preparedness. You know, we work with water, sanitation, hygiene, gender equality, etc. But there's a big precedent already within the UN on bringing in the world of faith, faith actors, faith communities, faith leaders, to ensure that the goals are actually that they're coming to fruition. And when you speak about this, I'm wondering whether this might not be another really interesting place for the world of faith to come in, that rather than just as the on-the-ground actors who are working with SDGs around peace and reconciliation, around climate change, around water, around gender, around health, around education, that in addition to that, we actually turn to the world of faith to help bring us back to real values. Because interestingly, it doesn't matter what religion you look at. The values overlap. They overlap a lot. And I think that the helping of people to see the sacred is critical. To see the sacred, I mean, one of the beautiful things that UNESCO does is it helps people understand, oh, this is a treasure. It might be a building, it might be a river. This is a treasure. Come see this, adore this, worship this, notice this. And it's a beautiful aspect, especially when it's natural things. This is a treasure. This is an international global treasure. We're going to protect it. We're going to preserve it. We're going to honor it. We're going to celebrate it. And to just, if we went like this much further, and we started talking about the sacred as well, the culturally important, the naturally important, yes, and and the sacred. To just open a doorway. You know, we already talk in some conversations around protection of sacred sites. And I've been in UN conversations, especially in the UNAOC, around protection of sacred sites. So there's already a vocabulary and a conversation around sacredness. But I think in this question that you've raised, it's really a beautiful opportunity to think about, if we bring in more of an awareness of the sacred around goals, priorities, values, we can shift things because we feel it, we know it inside ourselves. And it doesn't matter what your religion is, we all know it. It's an inherent human aspect of us that transcends borders of different religions. We know what feels real, and we know what feels junk. And we know the depression and the anxiety and the restlessness that comes from spending our lives on junk. And maybe through UNESCO, you have the power and the opportunity to start to begin to open up conversations. As we protect places, can we protect values? Yeah, beautiful. We're going to take hers as the last one for tonight. Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So,
Can you come a little closer to the mic so we can hear? Yeah.
is it fine now?
It's better.
Okay. So, by birth, I am a Kashmiri Pandit and I work in Pune. Okay. My name is Shivani Kaul. And my question is, there is attachment and there is detachment. So sometimes I feel very confused between these two. For example, if we love someone, be it our parents, our husband, children, anyone we love, we get attached to them. It's very normal, I think. Everyone gets attached, whomsoever we love. Then they say you should not get attached so much to anyone. There should be a thin line between attachment and detachment. You should be somehow detached also. So I'm kind of confused.
Okay. So you're right. Attachment is very normal. You love, naturally there's attachment to it. Whether it's, something like pizza. Oh, I love pizza. I don't get pizza enough. I'm going to, miss it. There's a love, there's an attachment. Obviously on a much deeper level when it's with people. But you're right. That which we love, we tend to get attached to. It could be an article of clothing. It could be a favorite possession. It gets broken. It gets lost. We're miserable. And obviously, again, when it's a person, it's much deeper and much stickier. There's nothing wrong with attachment in and of itself as a natural byproduct of love. Obviously, the more you love someone or something, the more you want it, the less you want it to disappear. Very natural. The dilemma arises in the fact that we don't actually have control over what happens in the world around us, which means that it's very, very likely that we're going to lose someone we're attached to. Live long enough, chances are you're going to lose everyone you're attached to, unless they're your, kids and grandkids, but everyone older than you. If you live long enough, you'll lose them all. And so our rishis, our sages, our saints said, Don't get so attached. Why? Because you get stuck. When something happens to them, you are crippled with grief and you cannot move on. And even before something happens to them, you're crippled with anxiety. So many people come in here and say, I don't know what to do. I'm so worried something's going to happen to my parents. I don't know what to do. I'm so worried something's going to happen to my child. I don't know what to do. I'm so worried something's going to happen to my spouse. So the anxiety ends up paralyzing our lives. And that's why they say, have some detachment. Not because attachment itself is some kind of evil, but because attachment breeds by its nature anxiety and misery. And so this is where they say love. Love is critical. But love in such a way that there is always an awareness in the love that there could be loss. That it is love without this sense of, without you, I am dead. Without you, I am nothing. It's love without that. It's love from the perspective of one whole being loving another whole being for as long as the universe has given us. But it's not love that either requires the other being and that therefore renders me absolutely unable to live my life or to find peace in the absence of that other being. And it is love in which I don't need that other being to be in a certain way. That's the other aspect of attachment, is one aspect is just to the person, like don't leave me. Never get sick, never die, never leave me. I couldn't handle it. But then there's the other side of attachment, which is, what do you mean you're wearing that? You can't go out like that. What are the neighbors going to think? There's attachment to how people act, what they say, what they do. When I was growing up, my mom always had a lot of anxiety and a lot of attachment. And my dad was due home every night at 7. Like that was the deal, was he would come home from work at 7. 6:45 every night, my mom's looking out the window going, where is he? Where is he? And I remember growing up going, Mom, he's not even on time yet. Like he's really far from being late. It's not even on time. Like, let it go, let it go. That's the attachment. It's not that she's worried that something has happened to him. I mean, that was also there as a separate issue. But it's attachment to how he behaves. Does he show up at 6:45? Does he show up at 7? Or God forbid, does he show up at 7:05? The attachment around how people live, how they speak, how they act, how they choose, that's the other piece. And that's also what's critical to let go of, because otherwise we actually end up suffocating the love. Because you're so focused on, they have to stop smoking, they have to stop drinking, they have to stop, chewing with their mouth open, they have to come home on time, they have to, whatever your thing might be. We're so focused on the micromanagement of that we suffocate the love. And so that's where the other teaching around attachment is love. But love from a place where you are allowing them to live their lives, to say what they mean to say, to do what they're meant to do, without you squeezing the life force out of them or your relationship or your own mental health. Because that's what attachment does. So that's the practice. Okay, yes, beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, everyone. A beautiful day and morning to our family joining us from all over the world. We will not be having satsang tomorrow evening. I will be out tomorrow evening, but we will be back again from day after tomorrow. So just one day, no satsang, and then we'll be back from day after tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you to Sadhviji for such a beautiful satsang and sharing her wisdom and knowledge with all of us in such a beautiful and enlightened way that's easily understandable and applicable. That's what's so very special about when she shares. So thank you for that. For those of you who did not get a chance to ask the questions, we have so many ways for you to stay connected. In the back, there's a place where you can fill out a paper and ask your question that can be answered in an upcoming satsang. Also online, you can go to sadhviji.org. There's a form there. You can send us a DM in Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube. So please, when you have a question, feel free to reach out, and we would be so happy to answer it at another time. Also, to let you know, we have a beautiful podcast called Ask Sadhviji, and you can find that where podcasts are, but it's meditations and satsang questions that have been specially picked. So we want you to always be able to be connected. There's also information in the back on how to connect. So thank you so much, everyone, and have